Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, Andre.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two, on bar.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Lamas covered. Three-handle family Gradunzel.
Mamma mia!
And now, Unchained.media presents the B+ Podcast with your host, GregUnchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
Number 4, armbar.
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
All right, fellow B+ players, welcome to the B+ Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Unchained. Today is Monday. You know what that means. It's time for the Impact Zone, which normally means I would be saying I'm joined by the Regular J. But Regular J is not so regular anymore because he broke his laptop and he's unable to help us out with these podcasts. So it's just me again. Just me. Hopefully he'll be back next week and we'll break down Bound for Glory. Now, this episode is slated to release at 7 a.m. on Monday. Bound for Glory starts at, I think, 9:30 a.m. on Monday, so you got enough time to listen to this episode and then head to whatever screen you have available to watch Bound for Glory on Fight TV. If you want some credit to go towards that purchase, just type in the code ZEZ1041 and that sends us some love as well. So that was ZEZ1041 and that'll get you onto Fight TV for the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, and it's going to give you a little bit of credit. I think it's $15 credit that you get on that one. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us through everything that happened on last week's Impact. We're going to talk a little bit about Austin Aries and Johnny Impact and their Twitter feud and what happened at the Hall of Fame this morning, and then we'll have a quick rundown of the card and look forward to Bound for Glory. So, Impact last week, it was the last Impact before Bound for Glory. Trevor Lee, Jack Evans, Puma King, and Petey Williams start off the show. So Puma King was the cat luchador that I didn't know from last week's episode. It was Puma King. I've heard a lot about Puma King. I've never actually seen him wrestle. I haven't seen his PWG stuff yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. He only had a few spots in this match. It was a fatal four-way, and they didn't have a lot of time, so I didn't really get a feel for him here, but I've heard that he's quite impressive. This fatal four-way was stemming from the open audition Scarlett Bordeaux was holding last week, where she spoke to all four of these guys, and all hell broke loose when Petey Williams tried to teach her the Canadian Destroyer. So, in this match, though, Petey Williams does pick up the win with the Canadian Destroyer on Trevor Lee. It was a fun little opener coming out of that Scarlett Bordeaux story. Moving on, we got Rich Swann saying that he has found a partner on the same level as him, unlike Ethan Page and Matt Sydal, where Ethan Page is going to follow Matt Sydal around and try to open his third eye. He actually found a partner that's on his level with the same amount of charisma, the same amount of skill, the same amount of talent. Those are the same things, by the way, Rich. Anyway, it's Willie Mack. Willie Mack. He plays a video, and it's Willie Mack. Willie Mack is coming to Impact to be Rich Swann's tag team partner, at least for Bound for Glory. That's very exciting. Willie Mack is one of the most underutilized talents in America, working mostly on the West Coast scene. That's really good to see him. Really good to see him show up on Impact. Up next, we get Grado versus Maximo. Maximo seems like he has an early 90s homophobic gay guy gimmick. So when I say homophobic gay guy gimmick, I mean the bookers are homophobic and they put a gay guy out there with the whole gimmick being that, you know, he's going to grind on the other guys and make them really uncomfortable. It's very 90s. And yeah, so Maximo goes out there with this gimmick and, you know, he teases the whole match getting a kiss on Grado, and then ultimately he wins the match by kissing Grado and rolling him up for the 1, 2, 3. I mean, it was what it was. It was a stupid little fun Grado match, I suppose. Then after the match, they, you know, tease shaking hands, and then Grado kisses Maximo and leaves, which he was trying to avoid the kiss for the entire match. So I guess the kiss wasn't that bad. So, progress. Then we go backstage to Eddie Edwards, who is pacing back and forth with Johnny Impact and Fallah Bahh. God damn it, Fallah Bahh. And basically he cuts a quick little promo talking about tonight they're going to go 3-on-3 with Moose, Austin Aries, and Killer Cross. Then we get an Eli Drake promo talking about having an open challenge in New York City, and it's only available for New Yorkers. Only someone from New York can answer the challenge, and that's going to happen at Bound for Glory. Then we get Garma Singh in the ring, introducing the former tag team combination of the Desi Hit Squad, Gursinder Singh and Rohit Raju, for their one-on-one match to determine the weak link. The winner will stay in the Desi Hit Squad in Impact. The loser will go back home to India. Rohit Raju ends up picking up the win. I thought for sure, this match was longer than it needed to be. It was quite boring, to be honest with you, and I thought for sure that they were ultimately just going to turn on Garma Singh and beat the crap out of him and stay a tag team and just lose the manager, which would have been a bad idea for them, but, better than breaking them up for no apparent reason. I mean, they lost a couple of matches, but it's really not that big of a deal. I guess that's the gimmick, is Garma Singh thinks it is a big deal. But yeah, in the end, Rohit Raju picks up the win, and he's staying in Impact, and I guess Gursinder Singh is leaving, supposedly, and it was very anticlimactic. Then we get what should be the main event, Eddie Edwards, Fallah Bahh, and Johnny Impact versus Austin Aries, Killer Cross, and Moose Money. Aries gets the win after a brainbuster on Johnny Impact after he's been hit with a Saito suplex by Killer Cross on the floor and an apron bomb to Eddie Edwards. This was a great match. Lots of teasers for the upcoming pay-per-view where the guys who are going to be facing off against each other are in the ring at the same time. Lots of unusual combinations. Fallah Bahh actually looked really good in this match, as much as it pains me to admit it. The story they told with Fallah Bahh on that episode where he challenged for the title, followed up by this return match, has actually been very interesting, and he did very well in this match. He didn't do his stupid panda roll. Ultimately, this is working to get Fallah Bahh over, at least with me, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, really, this should have been the main event. I don't know why it wasn't. It was a really good match. It stole the show for sure. Moving on, we get something we haven't seen for a while in Impact. A cinematic scene. A real, proper cinematic scene. James Mitchell is playing an organ, and Ali approaches and asks him for his help going back to the undead realm. He says that she can't take back her soul, and she knows that. He says humans are body and soul, and she's walking around half a human, and that sucks. But when Sue put her in the coffin in order to get out of the undead realm, she agreed to leave her soul. She says it's not about her soul, she just needs his help to get back there. She's trying to rescue Rosemary. Mitchell says she'll owe him one, and on Sunday night, he'll make sure the coffin is open and that she'll get into the undead realm, but he makes no promises that she can save her friend. So, they've gone full Lucha Underground on this one. There's an undead realm that she needs access to save Rosemary. That's full Lucha Underground. I talk a lot about how Impact go half Lucha, but not full Lucha. And this is very exciting for me. I like that kind of storytelling. So, as far as I can see, wrestling is a live-action comic book. So why not throw in some crazy, fantastical stuff like an undead realm? Why not? A lot of people online have been upset about this, saying that, they're killing the business and it's stupid, and it works in Lucha Underground because that's all Lucha Underground has ever been. Maybe that's all Impact is going to be. Maybe they're working towards it. Maybe it's just a slow reveal of the universe that Impact actually lives in. All I'm saying is give it time, let it play out. This could be really interesting if you just let it be what it is, if you just let it be the crazy, stupid sci-fi fantasy fun that it could be. This could be really, really, really awesome, and I'm a fan. I like it. I like Ali. I like James Mitchell a lot. I've always been a fan of James Mitchell, and this was fun for me, so I'm looking forward to this segment at Bound for Glory. Up next, we get a bit of a squash match between Keira, who looks like Sexy Star, but when I googled it, I couldn't find anything, so I don't think it is Sexy Star. Keira versus Tessa Blanchard, and Tessa wins easy enough with the Buzzsaw DDT, just building up momentum onwards towards her match with Taya Valkyrie. Then, the main event of the evening, King and the OGs come out for a summit with Conan and LAX. King says that in the Concrete Jungle match, he's going to end the legend that is Conan, because Conan wouldn't make him king. He says that Conan needs to be put out of his misery, all stuff we've heard before. He recaps the entire story of what's happened between the two of them, and then says that in New York, in his city, he's going to destroy everything they built, and OG 740 will live forever. Then Conan speaks a whole bunch in Spanish, and says that all he has to do is say the word and the crowd will rush the ring, which is kind of illegal. Conan, I guess these guys are gangsters though, so it doesn't matter. Conan says the bosses wanted him to give a message to King, and that message is that the ceasefire ends now, and then the show ends with the two of them brawling back and forth in the ring. So, I guess I understand why they put this last, but I really would have preferred the six-man tag match to go on last. Ultimately, the build for Bound for Glory has been kind of disappointing. The build for Slammiversary was really, really good. The build for Bound for Glory has been really underwhelming. I don't know if it's because they've been changing locations and therefore changing talent. All I know is I'm not as excited about Bound for Glory as I was about Slammiversary, but I'm still excited to see what happens from here because I definitely think they're going to try to top Slammiversary even though the build isn't necessarily there.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, Greg, curious question for you, man. Have you been shopping recently?
I have not.
Mate, well, I've got some good news for you. I know you're not a big fan of crowds, as most of us here at the B Plus aren't. Have you heard of Threadbox?
I have heard of Threadbox.
Man, then you would know how good they actually are. I mean, I just received my first crate, and holy moly, I'm amazed. Guys, if you're listening, go check out threadbox.com.au, and they have everything from hats to socks to shirts to pants. It's fantastic. Now, with email to a personalized stylist and customizable crates, it's honestly one of the best things I've had. I don't know about you, Greg, but I really enjoy it.
I got a crate the other day, and they gave me new jeans, a couple of new shirts, and the cool thing is, one of the shirts I tried it on, and it was a little bit long for me, and I thought this accentuates how short I am in person, and so I sent them an email, and I was just like, hey. This shirt, I feel like it makes me look really short because I'm kind of short. And they were like, send it back. We'll give you something else next month. Like an extra thing. So I'm going to send that shirt back. And then next month, they're going to send me out something else. And I said to them, I've got lots of shirts. And they were like, well, we'll send you some accessories. And that's how Threadbox do it. It's kind of fantastic.
See, how good's that? And with our special code, the B Plus 15 at checkout, actually saves all our fans 15% at checkout on their first box. How cool is that?
Yeah, so head to threadbox.com.au today and use the code the B+15 to get your first box as soon as you can. And to that token, given the lackluster build, it's pretty cool to see them try to pump up some build in the last minute online. So last week, I think it was, Austin Aries sent out a tweet where he basically called Taya Valkyrie fat in response to the skit that they ran where Johnny Impact was looking for Austin Aries backstage and he made some short jokes, right? And so Austin Aries went onto Twitter and took offense to being called short. And he's like, "Oh, of course, everyone can make fun of me for being short, but if I say retard or if I don't at me, if I say retard or if I call your wife fat or if I mention how gay your pants look or whatever it was he said all these sorts of things that got him in a lot of trouble with the Wrestling PC Brigade, which is quite strong on Twitter. And, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. In this instance, it's very clear that this was done on purpose. This is all a work. It's not like Austin Aries actually meant those things. This is all said in character to try to build heat for the match. Now, we can have that argument as to whether these things should be used in character or shouldn't. I think on a case-by-case basis, you got to look at that. And I thought that what Austin Aries said suits his character well. He's a shitbag heel. And he wasn't saying it like, oh, I'm going to say these things because I believe these things. It wasn't a situation like you had over in Rev Pro. What this was a situation where he was taking offense as, cis-privileged, white, male, whatever. He was taking offense for being called short. Like, oh yeah, it's okay to call me short. I'm a victim. But if I did this, I'd be the bad guy. Knowing full well that, yeah, doing that makes you the bad guy. So he did it knowingly, as far as I can tell. And then everyone's gone off and everyone's like, oh my god, Austin Aries is a jerk. And then Taya and Johnny Impact were on TMZ, and they talked about it on TMZ, and they sort of dragged his name through the mud. So then today, at the Hall of Fame, where they were inducting Abyss into the Hall of Fame, tensions kind of exploded. Austin got up and he was giving an apology. And he was like, I wanted to apologize because there were some tweets and there were some things that said, and I took down the tweets and the tweets were deleted. And I wanted to apologize, but you guys showed up on TMZ and start dragging my fucking name through the mud. Fuck you. And he gets all in his face, and then Johnny Impact jumps up and charges the table and they have to be pulled apart. And people online are like, is this a work? Is this a shoot? What's going on? Of course it's a work. Of course it's a work. These are two professionals who have been in the business for 12 years, who've known each other, travel together. They travel out here to Australia for World Series Wrestling together. I mean, yeah, these guys know each other. These guys go way back. They're professionals. They're doing their job. They're putting on a work and everyone's buying into it, and I love it. So that's really exciting to see just how much people are buying into it, and it's probably gotten me more excited for Bound for Glory than anything else this week, especially the TV show just was kind of lackluster. Let's have a look at the Bound for Glory card before we go. This has been a short one. It's hard to talk Impact at length when I'm on my own, so, you know, when the regular J returns, hopefully next week, we'll have a much longer podcast for you. But let's take a look at the Bound for Glory card before we go. So I'm not sure what order the matches are going to be in, but I'm just taking this off 411 Mania for what the card is, and I'll give my predictions, and that'll just about do it for the show. We've got Matt Sydal and Ethan Page versus Rich Swann and Willie Mack. This one's a tough one to call because it's not too clear whether Willie Mack is sticking around, whether Ethan Page is sticking around. You got to think that Matt Sydal and Ethan Page are going to become a permanent team. Willie Mack and Rich Swann, I'm not too sure. So I want to give the win to Matt Sydal and Ethan Page here. But if we find out that Willie Mack has signed a long-term contract or has signed a contract at all with Impact, then it's going to make a lot of sense for Willie Mack to pick up a win. Following that, we have Ali versus Su Yung, including potentially Su Yung or Ali going into the coffin and rescuing Rosemary. I'm predicting a Rosemary return here. That's all I know. I don't know anything about the coffin stuff, but I'm definitely predicting a Rosemary return and Ali to pick up the win over Su Yung, or for it to be a DQ. Eli Drake's Open Challenge. I have no idea who this is going to be. I mean, he's challenged for someone from New York. The only person that comes to mind is Big Cass. I mean, Bully Ray, maybe. Please don't be Bully Ray. I'm at a loss. I'm seriously at a loss. Low-key has said he's not returning, so he's a New York guy, I think, right? I'm pretty sure he's from New York. This is where it really helps to have someone else to bounce off, but I'm gonna the only person I can think of is Big Cass, so I'm gonna predict Big Cass. Big Cass versus Eli Drake. Eli Drake wins. It's a one-off Big Cass or Big C appearance, and then he disappears into the night. Eddie Edwards versus Moose Money. I gotta go with Moose Money on this one. Let Eddie continue his slide into darkness, and let Moose and that whole stable pick up some steam. Then we got Tessa Blanchard versus Taya Valkyrie for the Knockouts Championship. I gotta put the money on Tessa. She's only just started her reign. She's got a long-term contract. She's going to be the cornerstone of that Knockouts division. Definitely going with Tessa Blanchard on that one. The first six-man tag of the night, OVE rules match. We don't know what the OVE rules are. As Sami Callihan, Jake, and Dave Christ versus Pentagon, Phoenix, and Cage. A lot of people are going to disagree with me here, but I'm going to go with OVE on this one. I'm going to think that OVE rules give them the edge, and OVE are going to pick up the win here, just because we're not sure what's happening with Pentagon and Phoenix. We don't know what their status is. And I don't know if Impact know more about their status. You got to hope they do. But since I'm unsure about the status, I'm going with OVE to win this one at Bound for Glory. Then we get another six-man tag match. Concrete Jungle Deathmatch. LAX versus the OGs. I don't know. You gotta think LAX win, right? You want the big babyface win after everything that's happened with Richie going to the hospital. He didn't die, thank the Lord. But you gotta think that LAX are gonna come out on top in this one. But then I also agree with King. It's time for Conan to be put down. I think, there's always the potential that LAX ultimately turn and they become a big LAX and they oust Conan altogether and just beat the crap out of Conan. But I think that would be really unsatisfying. So I'm going to go with LAX on this one. Then we get the main event, Impact World Championship, Austin Aries versus Johnny Impact. Austin Aries. Austin Aries has to win. He's having a phenomenal reign. He's got Killer Cross behind him. He's got Moose behind him. I can't see Austin Aries losing just yet. He is the face of Impact Wrestling, the face that runs the place, if you will, as far as I can see. And even with the controversy around the tweet, I don't see that changing. I love Johnny Impact, but I don't think he has all the right tools necessarily, and I think he's probably bound for WWE to close out his career at some point in the near future. So I'm looking for Austin Aries to retain here and still come down to Australia with World Series Wrestling as the Impact World Heavyweight Champion. That does it for us here on the Impact Zone. Make sure you tune into Bound for Glory and tune in next week. On next Monday, we will have Jay back, hopefully, and we'll break down Bound for Glory and Impact. We'll talk about the whole 9 yards, and it'll be a much longer podcast and everything. But thank you so much for joining us. I am at GregUnchained on Twitter, at the GregUnchained on Instagram. We collectively are the B Plus Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit the B Plus Wrestling everywhere else. Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, etc. Find us, follow us, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes if you feel so inclined. It really, really helps us. It really helps us get out there and spread the wrestling love, which we're all about here. We're all about the wrestling love and we're all about the Aussie Graps. So give us that 5-star review. And of course, thank you so much for listening.
Hold one. Arm drag.
You're not doing this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
So, no speak English.
Dummy. Yeah.
Goodbye and good night.
Hold two. Arm bar.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it. Dummy.